Good afternoon, everybody. We would like to call the meeting to order. This is the Public Council meeting of April 21st, 2015 for the City of Mount Pearl. And good afternoon. Good to see all of you here. I see that we have two of our members that are not with us today. Councillor Walsh not with us today, and Councillor Tessier continues out of town. So I think we're going to have to do a little juggling maybe on some of the committee work. Before we do all of that, I will entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Ledwell, seconded by Councillor Stoyles. Are there any additions to the agenda that are not currently listed? Any additions at all? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried. I will entertain a motion next to accept the minutes of our meeting of April 7th. It is moved by Councillor Akers, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. We'll get everybody in on this today. That the minutes of April 7th be accepted as presented. Any errors or omissions? Errors or omissions to be referenced from the meeting of April 7th? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried. We will now move to business arising. Business arising from the minutes of April 7th. Please reference agenda item numbers if there be any. Seeing that absolutely no one has absolutely anything to say absolutely, we will call the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried. Thank you very much. Council, today we have one proclamation to sign. It is a significant and interesting one. You will see in the chamber a couple of people, and I want to welcome Shannon Lewis Simpson, who is the Lieutenant Commander or Commandant of HMCS Cabot. Hi, Shannon. Good to have you with us today. We are going to sign a proclamation this afternoon about the Battle of the Atlantic, and in particular, Battle of the Atlantic Week. And I will read the proclamation into the record here, and I am going to invite Shannon to come up here if you want. Tell us a little bit about your plans. And I think most everybody here will recognize David Lethkow. And he, of course, was one of our nominees for Citizen of the Year this year. He's the head honcho over at our Admiralty House Museum. And, of course, the reason why I think it's fair to say that we do this proclamation is that Mount Pearl has a significant history with when it comes to naval activities, particularly surrounding the First World War. So, the Proclamation Council reads as follows. Whereas the City of Mount Pearl shares in the naval heritage of Newfoundland and Labrador in the First World War with His Majesty's Wireless Station celebrating its centenary in 2015, and during the Battle of the Atlantic, the longest campaign of World War II. And whereas each year on the first Sunday in May, Canada commemorates the loss of more than 4,300 sailors, air crew, and merchant mariners who gave their lives in the service of their country in World War II. And whereas serving members of the Canadian Armed Forces uphold the legacy of the Battle of the Atlantic and face today's security challenges with pride and professionalism, therefore I, Randy Sims, Mayor of the City of Mount Pearl, do hereby proclaim April 27th to May 3rd, 2015 as Battle of the Atlantic Week, with the naval ensign to be flown over City Hall to remember those lost and those who serve today. It is dated this 21st day of April 2015, to which I shall affix a signature, and I am going to invite Shannon to use this little microphone here. And if you would, Commander, tell us a little bit about your plans for Battle of the Atlantic Week.
Well, thank you very much, Your Worship. Councillors, it's an honour again to be here with Mr. Lithgow today. This is becoming a bit of a tradition in itself for us to come to City Hall here and in St. John's to proclaim Battle of Atlantic Week, and we are eternally grateful for you for doing so. As it said in the proclamation, Mount Pearl has a long and storied tradition in the naval heritage. Although you don't have a harbour yourself, that doesn't mean that you don't have a heritage, a naval heritage, especially with the Mount being a great place for wireless communications, technologies that were just in their infancy during World War I, and we're at the forefront. Our sailors today are also facing new challenges with new technologies. And Newfoundlanders, of course, and the Labradorians are a large part of the modern Canadian Navy. I think anywhere between 20%. My unit, there's anywhere between 10 to 20% of naval reservists at sea at any given moment. So it's a proud heritage. It's one that we would like to continue to remember. And on that note, on the 3rd of May, the first Sunday in May each year, we celebrate Battle of Atlantic Sunday. We will be having a church parade at the Anglican Cathedral of St. John the Baptist starting at 11 o'clock. And after the church service, we'll be marching to the War Memorial, where there'll be a laying of wreaths and a commemoration of a wreath to be laid afterwards at the wreck site in Bell Island, which is again another tradition that we uphold. Because make no mistake about it, the Battle of Atlantic was fought in the North Atlantic, but it was also fought off our very coast. And lives were lost off our very coast. So with these points in mind, we are very happy to be here today to inform the public about our events and about the importance of the Battle of Atlantic and indeed our shared naval and air and merchant marine heritage. Would you like to say anything?
No, not now, Shannon. Thank you very kindly for your offer.
Well, thank you, Shannon, very much. We share with you the importance of this type of commemoration, and certainly we want to also pass along to you and to all of the reservists and everybody who serves in our military how much we value both your service and theirs. We recognize the importance of history is that those who forget it are doomed to relive it. And quite honestly, none of us ever want to relive those fateful days or to ever find ourselves in a circumstance where so many lives are put at danger and so many lives lost for the freedom that we enjoy today. It is interesting and appreciated on my part, certainly, having never had to experience war in any real sense, that proclamations like this one not only get signed and that we will fly the flag with great honor for the week heading up to May 3rd, but recognizing as well in the proclamation a reference directly to today's military, to security challenges that we face, to the realities of the 21st century. And it is not all peace and joy. We still need people who, as they say, stand against the tide. Those men and women in uniform do that for us proudly. So let me just pass on to you and to all of your colleagues who wear the uniform how truly honored we are to be able to sign this proclamation. It is not an effort, but a tremendous honor and a great joy on our part. Thank you for this. And we're going to get a picture of this, right? So we're going to get you guys out front, and we're going to get our snap taken.
Very good.
Well, let's get your likeness down on film. No, you go ahead, David.
Okay.
I'm going to... Let's do it this way. Oh, okay. Let's do it this way. Absolutely. Go ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the experience now with smiling for the camera. You now know all about the grin and grit, right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Oh. Yes, indeed we will. Yeah, indeed we will. Thank you. Council, no correspondence to present today, so we will go first directly to committees, community services. Councillor or Deputy Mayor Locke.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your comments were very well said there, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Very well done. All right, Your Worship, a couple of items here, 6 I think in total, or 7. Firstly, you mentioned Mr. Lithgow as one of the nominees at our Citizen of the Year. So I just want to take the time to extend congratulations to, we had dual winners this year, Jim Greenland and Dan Murr. I think it was the second time in the history of the award.
In 31 years.
31 years,
Yep.
That's the second time they had it. So, but it took place on April the 11th. And of course, this is in partnership with the Kinsman Club of Mount Pearl. And it also kicked off our volunteer week. So congratulations again to Jim and Dan, but indeed to Dave and all the others that were nominated. It's always a great night to take the time to recognize all the people who put... Dave and I just had a chat before the meeting about how busy volunteers can get and how sometimes, you know, as tough as it is, we got to say no because the ask is there, but how very difficult it is to say no. And Jim was telling me that his iPad is a kitchen calendar that he has on the kitchen table all the time, and that's where he keeps track of all the events. So congratulations to Dave, Jim, and Dan. So that's the first one, Your Worship.
Here, here.
The next one has to do with the Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl and their 2015 operating grant. In keeping with the current Memorandum of Understanding, our committee is recommending approval to release the 2015 grant in the amount of $2,500, again, to the Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl, and I so move.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Locke, seconded by Councillor Stoyles. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Next item, Your Worship, is an information note. Family Fun Day, this Sunday coming up, April 26th. We're encouraging our residents and visitors to come by the Reed Centre for a Family Fun Day, starting at 2 o'clock, going till 4. The 2 hours are going to be filled with a host of activities, face painting, your bouncy castles, live entertainment, interactive performances, crafts, child find, and a special guest appearance from Buddy the Puffin, who's going to have some special ice cap giveaways at the event. The
Did
admission
you know that he's got to take some language classes now?
No.
Yeah, Buddy the Puffin. He's got to be able to speak French now.
He's got to learn it.
He's going to be
gotta learn to dance in French.
Buddy le Puffin. Yeah, he's
He
going to
can
be
learn to dance
able to
in
speak
French.
French now.
Yeah.
Hold on. Did Buddy the Puffin ever speak anyway? I don't think he does
I
he?
said he's got to dance in French, not speak.
He can have the
right?
dance in French now, yeah. Wonder how
That's
one
right.
does that.
Yeah. Full of energy.
That's going to be a fun day this
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah. So I was just going to say that it's $3 per person at the door, Your Worship, to gain entry for this 2 hours of fun and festivity. And all proceeds are going to go towards the DARE program and the Mount Pearl Crime Prevention events. And this event is hosted by the Mount Pearl Crime Prevention Committee in partnership with the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary as well as the City of Mount Pearl. So that's an information there to get people to come out to the Reed Centre this Sunday. The next item, Your Worship, has to do with the Summit Centre and some regular maintenance. The closure of the leisure pool is going to take place from April 27th to May the 1st. And this is due again to maintaining the leisure pool. All swims on the recreation swim schedule for the leisure pool only will be cancelled during that week. The main pool will remain open, and all recreational swims scheduled will proceed.
Does that mean that
as
the
normal.
splash pad that the kids use will be down as well?
No.
No, all of that will run. Okay. And the main pool itself is still running, yeah.
Right. So
Okay,
that's the leisure
good.
pool. So that's just to let residents know. Continue with the aquatics theme here. Spring aquatic registration is going to take place online only, beginning on the following dates. For Mount Pearl residents only, it'll start on Monday, April 27th, starting at 5 p.m. And then on Thursday, April the 30th, beginning at 5 p.m., will be an open registration and will also be open to non-residents as well. The spring sessions are going to run from May the 3rd to June the 20th, and lessons are available for the little tiny toddlers to the older adults. And if people want more information on the aquatics programs, they can check the Winter-Spring Activity Guide or visit the city's website, or certainly call 748-1002. So the uptake has been phenomenal, Your Worship, at this beautiful aquatic center that we have there. So let's encourage more people to participate in some spring aquatics.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, the Find Your Fit free Zumba class. April the 30th, Thursday. For the information of the public, there will be a Find Your Fit free activity at the Reed Community Center starting at 7 p.m. And residents can participate in a free Zumba class. I've never done Zumba. How about you, Your Worship? Have you ever?
Seriously?
Yeah, you've given it a go?
No, of course not.
No.
Of course not. I've never
So
skied.
you haven't found your fit in Zumba, have you?
I've never skied.
No?
I've never jumped out of an airplane with a parachute on,
I've done that.
and I've never
skied.
I've never done Zumba.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I haven't zipped
done
yet.
zip line either, but I will do that.
What have you done, Your Worship?
I've played a lot of golf.
There you go. Swung the club.
Ate a lot of food.
Yeah. There you go.
Can I say?
Anyways, it's open to ages 16 and older. So if you want to come out, try it Thursday. Well, you're going to be out of town, I'm thinking, but come and give your chance. Give yourself
I am going
a
to be
chance.
out of town on Thursday.
All right. And the last
Also
item here,
before
Your
me.
Worship, for our committee is Seniors Awareness. Awareness, Health and Information Day. This is a great event to be held Wednesday, May the 6th, 2015, up at the Reed Community Center from 2 to 4 p.m. for Seniors Awareness, Health and Information Day. There will be about 25 exhibitors, food, entertainment, and prizes. Tickets are $3 each, and you have to purchase these in advance either at the Summit Center or the Park Place Community Center through the Seniors Independence Group office. This event is coordinated by our Seniors Independence Group in partnership with the City of Mount Pearl. And if you want further information, you can go to mountpearlseniors@hotmail.com or call 748-6485. I know the last couple of years this has been very well attended, and a lot of valuable information there for the health awareness and information for seniors. And that's it for our committee, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Corporate Services, Councillor Aker.
Thank you, Your Worship. First item for action today is we have 2 accounts listed for tax deferral, low-income earners, in accordance with our policy. Please note we're only deferring the taxes on these particular properties. The amounts are $1,835.32 as well as $2,025.38, and I so move.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Stoyles. Question or comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
Professional development and training. We have the Director of Planning and Development to go to the Canadian Institute of Planners annual conference. That is on June 27th to 30th, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Question or comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, the motion carried.
The second request is for the Chief Administrative Officer to go to the FCM, that's the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference, June 5th to the 8th into 2015, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Just a question. Are you able to do the Calgary thing? You're not able to do that, right? That's too bad. Question or comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
And item number 3, Your Worship, is invoices for approval totaling $552,347.17, noting that the bulk of it is, we have half of it's for salt, which we've got to pay for to keep our roads nice and safe. We've got $100,000 there for the Transportation Commission in St. John's for the March services, and one other item of note, $70,000 there for our second quarter assessment fees with the Municipal Assessment Agency. And I'd like to move all 10 of those items, Your Worship.
Moved and seconded. Any question or comment? Items 1 through 10 invoices for approval. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
A lot of salt, eh?
That's a lot of salt. We are up to Infrastructure Public Works Committee report. Deputy Mayor.
All right, Your Worship. The first item here has to do with the street markings tender. The tender for the street markings, i.e. line painting, closed, and we had one bid received. This includes the spring line painting only, as well as some thermoplastic applications. It's planned to complete the spring line painting and then assess conditions of parking lots and if fall line painting is required. It could be managed through a possible change order or an additional tender. The committee is recommending that the street markings contract be awarded to the lowest compliant bidder, Clearaway Contracting Limited, in the amount of $353,955.55, and this includes HST, and I so move.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Locke, seconded by Councillor Ledwell. Any question or comment on this? When will we start? When will line painting begin?
Well, I guess it's got to warm up, hey, Director?
Because I got to tell you, the streets are, people don't know where to drive. Quite literally,
Yeah.
it is not so much in the street, it's the intersections where people get kind of fouled up. They don't know where you're supposed to be when you're trying to make that turn through a light. And anyway.
One thing I'll add to that, Your Worship, is that there will be temporary line markings will be the first things that are done. Sometimes the lines we can't see. They'll do what they call line dabbing, so they'll be actually measuring to bring the centre lines and the main markings back in.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, and then they'll start doing line painting after that.
Yeah, well, a few dabs will do you. Right?
Oh, the dabs do help.
Around intersections. I mean, I don't know about my wife, who drives around this city more than any of us. She says that the most dangerous intersection in this city today, in her opinion, is going up over Commonwealth as you approach Topsail Road. You're going up over Commonwealth. There has been a change in the last year or two on how those lanes line up, and there's no There's no way for you to know whether you're in the right. Where's the lane that takes you to the right to go out Topsail Road, or the lane that takes you up over the hill? And then when you say, well, I'm going to stop at that light and turn left, that lane is not well defined either because there's no paint. So I guess I'm just saying the sooner we can get it done, the quicker she'd stop complaining to me. She thinks I'm the mayor or something. All right. Thank you, sir. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
One of these days, Your Worship, we're going to get these solar roads. I don't know if you've seen the video on the new solar roads. Director Antle, have you had a chance to witness
solar?
Those? They're actually LEDs that you can put down on the road, and you can change your lines. That's futuristic. I know you keep telling me I'm too far ahead of the
You're
game,
way out in front of us, man.
But this, if this comes through, it'll be incredible. Anyways.
That's something for my grandchildren is what you're telling me.
Right. That's discussion for another day. Councillor
Or
Stoles might like it because in the video they show if a moose walks on this new solar road, it lights up around the moose. So it's fascinating. You should watch the technology. Solar roads, check it out. No? Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Wow.
Anyways, futuristic. Maybe our grandchildren. I'm not sure. Next item, Your Worship, is a request for change order approval.
Yeah,
for
before
the
we light
summit.
the roads, let's keep the lights on at the summit.
There you go. And this is for surge protection.
Yep.
So we received the change order from the contractor to cover extra work to install surge protection devices on electrical panels. And the following request for change order has been reviewed by our engineering services, and it's recommended for approval. And again, the purpose for this modification is to address potential power surges that may come through that can cause damage to sensitive electrical equipment and controllers. So we're suggesting that this be approved. The amount is $53,777.99, excluding HST, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Question or comment on any of this? This solves the problem that we had right at the very beginning, right, with these power surges up at the summit?
Mm-hmm.
All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Next is a request to appoint a prime consultant for analysis of the capacity in the existing infrastructure along Olympic Drive. SNC Lavalin Bay New Plan Group Limited has submitted a proposal for $11,000 as detailed in the submitted fee proposal, HST excluded, to provide consulting services to study the capacity of the existing infrastructure along Olympic Drive in relation to the proposed development in that area and to provide recommendations. This, of course, Your Worship, is the area that we have designated for hotel and other services up there. Engineering Services has reviewed the proposal, and our committee is recommending approval, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Questions? Comments? All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Next item, Your Worship, is a contract recommendation. During the public council meeting of March 10th of this year, approval was granted to award the tender for the supply and delivery of a water leak detection correlator to the lowest qualified bidder. The bidder failed to meet delivery requirements and as a result has defaulted the contract. So it's now recommended to award the second lowest compliant bidder, Worsley Canada, in the amount of $25,990, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. Before we move on, what was the difference in price?
I believe it was in the order of $3,000.
Okay, so we had one for like 22 grand.
In that order, yes.
What do we mean by failed to meet delivery requirements?
There was delivery expected on the product, and they couldn't deliver it within that time frame. I think it was maybe 21 days because we had to get our leak detection program up and running, and they did not meet.
So because they couldn't do it in 21 days, when could they have done it?
They didn't indicate when they could do it. They
Like
just
I fear that.
Yeah.
Are we adhering to a letter of a law and not the spirit of one?
Mm-hmm.
Question.
And that just cost us $3 grand when maybe we could have waited 8 days. That's the kind of thing I'm.
They just couldn't deliver.
I mean, they couldn't
They
deliver
just
at all.
couldn't deliver. They were just out of the
Oh,
delivery.
they were out of the.
They were out of the delivery time
Oh,
frames.
peace be on you.
completely.
Forget I even brought it up. Sorry. Okay, I didn't understand that to be part of. They couldn't deliver the goods at all. Sorry. Go ahead, Councillor
So the
Eager.
first bidder basically was disqualified on a performance issue. Did we have any security that we could use to offset the additional cost?
Not in this. This was a goods delivery. There was no bonding that was required, no clauses like that. It was goods. No.
No. Okay, no, that answers it. That's fine. Anybody else with a question? All those in favor? Oh, no, we did it. I asked it after. Sorry, carry on,
No worries.
Deputy Mayor.
Next item, Your Worship, is for asphalt and concrete works tender. Committee was advised that the tender for this work closed on March 27th of 2015, and we received 3 bids. It's recommended to award the lowest compliant bidder, Modern Paving, in the amount of $514,997.50, including HST, and I so move. And the description of the specific details of the work is attached later on in the kit there, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Questions? Comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Next item, Your Worship, is a request for a change order. It's reviewed by Engineering Services and it's recommended for approval. So the Lutron modifications for emergency power is directed by Government Services Department. The amount is $6,470.20, and I so move. The
Moved,
Lutron
seconded.
dance. Yeah.
All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. It was directed by the government should pay for it. Whoops, did I say that out loud?
Okay, and the next couple of items, Your Worship, are for information. In terms of winter-spring operations, seasonal crew layoffs were extended to April 10th of this year. We are currently winding down our winter operations.
Do not tempt fate here.
But let's hope the winter winds down. We're winding down the operations. I'm just waiting for it to get above 5 or 6 degrees. So, fleet services will continue reactivating the street sweepers and parks equipment. Bulk garbage is going to start next week, the week of April 27th, and litter pickup has also begun. And a review of snow clearing damages will be carried out as soon as the weather permits, and then we'll get into the repairing of that. The second has to do with water and sewer. Work assignments are now reverting from winter to summer season. Oh, I can't wait for summer. Private digs will soon start, as again the weather permits and time allows, and hydrant flushing will also start in the next few weeks, as well all summer UTM work activities. And that's it for our committee today, Your Worship.
I thank you, sir, so much. Moving on, Planning and Development Committee report. Councillor Ledwell, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. We start this evening with an amendment to the regional plan. Of course, was commissioned in 1976. This particular amendment is a digital map consolidation. This was gazetted and brought into effect on Thursday, April 3rd of 2015, and we're bringing it forward for the information of Council this evening. Of course, as you're aware, the Department of Municipal and Intergovernmental Affairs had commissioned a review of the St. John's Regional Plan. And quickly, of course, it became apparent that the regional plan map that was put in place in 1976 did not accurately reflect the situation of today. And so a new map has been put together to more accurately reflect the area that is governed by the regional plan. You will see the map that is in the kit. Of note, of course, you'll see that all of the lands within the city of Mount Pearl that are above the 190-meter contour, which have been the subject of a lot of discussion recently, are now designated as urban development on the regional planning map. And, of course, this would allow, at least on a regional plan level, the consideration of a variety of urban uses for those lands.
Makes this land more ripe for development.
It certainly does. Of course, we're still going through the process at a municipal level here within the city of Mount Pearl, but we did want to bring this forward to the Information Council and advise as well that this was tabled at our recent public hearing that was held about the Kenmount Hill amendment or possibility thereof. So that's just for information purposes. Our next item is a proposed amendment to our city's noise regulations, and this is I guess, related to a matter of fireworks that certainly becomes a bit of a contentious issue every year after the holiday season. At least I personally would say that certainly the fireworks became more of an issue this year than ever before. A lot of people were talking about it. It seemed the fireworks were going on for a lengthier period than ever before. So certainly as a committee and as a planning department, we thought it prudent to have a look at the regulations and see what they said about noise and fireworks. And of course, at that point, we discovered that there was really no mention of the word fireworks in our development regulations. So what we're bringing forward this evening is a proposed amendment to the noise regulations to add a definition of the word fireworks, as you'll see there in your kit. And what we're proposing to do is to restrict the discharge of fireworks or explosive devices on any day other than New Year's Eve or Canada Day. And following to that, what we're proposing to do is to restrict the discharge on New Year's Eve from dusk to 12:30 a.m. on January 1st, and for Canada Day between dusk and 11 p.m. So the department has done some pretty extensive research on this. As a committee, Planning and Development Committee, we've certainly looked at it and we concur with the recommendation. So at this point, we are prepared to recommend that the city's noise regulations be amended as spoken, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Who's seconding for you today?
That would be, wow.
I got to look.
Both
Believe it or not.
John and Paul are gone.
Because they're both gone. Going to have to be the deputy mayor.
I'll second it.
It's going to move seconded by the deputy mayor today. Councillor Stawes, you want to comment?
Yes, Your Worship. I have a concern regarding this amendment. My concern is being able to comply to it. I know we've received a lot of phone calls. I received a fair number myself after New Year's and again when we do the Canada Day and different times throughout the year, different people hold celebrations and we thought maybe we could look at people getting permits, and that I know the city and department have looked at a number of issues. I sat on the regional fire representing the city, and just last week we had a meeting, and the regional fire basically are saying that they don't have the manpower to go to every time they get a call. They receive a number of phone calls too regarding fireworks, and I mean we have one municipal police officer on mostly at a time. Sometimes we might have two on, and if they were going to respond to a fire, fireworks, by the time they get there, the fireworks are going to be over. It takes 3 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, to put those fireworks off. And when you talk about, I know we said New Year's Eve and Canada Day wouldn't be excluded for this, but if there's July 1st, for example, anyway, it doesn't matter what day they're going to do them. The thing is, if there's a large number of them going on over the city, I don't know how our staff and our one municipal enforcement officer could possibly go and try and get around to, I mean, the only people who are going to complain is the neighbour next door, and somebody who's putting them off, or neighbours. Sometimes they don't even know where the fireworks are going to be put off. There could be a neighbour 3 streets away that then they got to go driving around looking to see if whose back garden is in or whatever. I just, I don't know if we're able to do a good job in this and to put a policy in place to try and deal with it. I don't know. From what I gathered from the regional fire, they don't have the answers, and I just have a problem supporting this.
Your Worship.
Councillor Aker.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with Councillor Stoyles, and I believe at the end of the day, all we'll achieve partly is a moral victory here. But I thought the emphasis at regional fire, that's from a firefighting point of view. I think we're trying to tackle this from a noise point of view. We use our MEOs to go around policing, so to speak, our regulations. So if a resident calls up about a noise issue, our MEOs will respond. I'm not sure all the municipalities in the region use their staff resources in the same way. But I do believe it does give our MEOs something in their back pocket. So if they show up, and just say the fireworks are still in progress on that rare occasion and the noise is still being made, at least they have the ability then to shut it down. But at the end of the day, I think you're quite right. I'm going to guess at 90% of the cases, basically they will show up too late. But in 10% of the cases, I don't know, maybe 1%, it could be 15%. I think what's going to end up happening is they will have the ability to shut it down. So I think we'll make progress, but it will be small.
Worship.
Deputy Mayor.
I agree with what Councillor Aker was saying there, but also I think the RNC could also enforce this. The RNC, our MEOs, a peace officer, anyone appointed by council. So I mean, we could broaden the enforcement. But I would rather put something in place like this, to Councillor Aker's point, where our MEOs or our municipal enforcement can have it in their arsenal. Otherwise, it just becomes a free-for-all, where there's people discharging fireworks, any day they want. Are you going to stop all of them? No, you're not. But if it's publicized that these are our regulations here, that will be a deterrent for enough of people. Because right now, people don't think that there's any regulations to prohibit. They figured that if you can buy them at the local store and you want to set off, fireworks on a birthday celebration or an anniversary, that you're perfectly okay with that, as long as you do it within the guidelines of, before 11 p.m. or what have you. And, but most people don't know. But if we can at least, advise the public that this is indeed our regulations right now, I think, to Councillor Aker's point, you will deter a certain percentage. You won't get all of them, but you'll certainly deter some of them. I also have a question, Your Worship, on how it's worded here, where it says we're going to restrict the discharge of fireworks or explosives on any day with the exception. When we say restrict, does that mean prohibit, or are we just going to restrict? Yeah, because if we restrict, because when I read this, I was wondering, so does that mean if I came down and said it's my parents' 50th anniversary and I want to set off, I know they're restricted on that day, but prohibit to me carries a stronger word as opposed to restrict. Like restrictions to me says there may be exceptions, but prohibit is prohibit. There's only 2 days.
My understanding is that we are not prohibiting fireworks.
That's what I'm asking.
I'm going to turn to the city planner. My understanding is that the rules as we currently have them is that somebody who wants to discharge fireworks within their neighborhood, this is my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's a child's birthday, let's say, they're going to do it for a birthday or whatever, that they, when they go out to actually purchase the fireworks, they're supposed to be given instructions by the retailer as to what is supposed to happen, and they are also supposed to have permission from the regional fire department. Is that not the case?
Yes, Your Worship, they do have to fill it. They're supposed to fill out a form in terms of, and that's the permitting form from the regional.
That's right. That's where the restriction, not prohibition, comes in. We are not banning them. We are not saying, right? We need to understand that in the regulation, we are not saying you cannot use fireworks in the city of Mount Pearl save for New Year's Eve and Canada Day. We're not saying that. Correct?
I think the direction that we took this from was a discussion by the committee, and the word was used, restrict. But in fact, what you are doing, to Deputy Mayor's point, is you are prohibiting, except for those hours. Well,
so basically, what we're saying is we notify citizens at the end of this. If we pass this today, we notify citizens that from now on, there can be no fireworks discharged in the city of Mount Pearl except on New Year's Eve up to 12:30 a.m. and except on Canada Day. So if you want to discharge them for your child's birthday, 9:30 next July, the answer is no. If you want to discharge them after June 1, the answer is no. They are prohibited in the city of Mount Pearl. Okay? Even though, as was pointed out by the regional fire department the other day, there is no prohibition against the purchase of same. You do see the convoluted legal challenge in that, do you?
See the moral victory always.
Okay. Yeah, I would have, I was not thinking in terms of a total ban. I thought restriction meant they are restricted based upon having to meet these criteria, which included getting a permit, notifying the fire department, letting us know, etc. You know, which I would think would require that you let your neighbors know, and so on. Because by far and away, the more disturbing aspect of all of these fireworks isn't the noise. I appreciate noise is a problem. I believe they constitute a significant danger to people's homes in urban centers. People living on 100 by 50 foot lots should not be discharging these things over the roofs of other people's homes in 100 by 50 foot lots. And we've seen examples of melted shingles and melted siding, and the possibility of a legitimate fire is very real. That's a major concern. And okay, that's where I'm coming with it. And the other question that I ask of council is, even on New Year's Eve, I think of New Year's Eve. All of us think of New Year's Eve. And it's midnight, and it's Auld Lang Syne, and everybody in the room gets kissed. And that's 15 to 20 minutes. I'm thinking 40 people, not one. I'm thinking how many people get kissed. Well, think of Stefan there. You got to kiss everybody. Male, female, don't matter. So you're looking at, what I'm saying is that 12:30 too soon? Should that not be 1 a.m. or 1:30 a.m.? Should there not be if you're going to do it? I would rather, if we're going to allow them, that we give them time to discharge them inside what our parameters are instead of rushing them. Some guy gets his arm blown off, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, we've got it there for now for 12:30. Stefan.
Your Worship, again, I just want to point out that in the initial discussion by the committee, these were kind of the parameters we were given. And I just want to go back to your comment about restriction prohibition. Yeah, you're correct in terms of in terms of the words. One does mean an outright ban, and that was, I think, the point of the discussion by the committee. But the words that were used was restrict. And the second piece is that yeah, it was asked, the 12:30 was actually requested by the committee at that time, so if there's
No, I accept it. But,
if there's a desire to make modifications,
well,
I think you
I don't think we'll get into that now. Let's see how all of this works. But, and certainly we have to put into place, which I'm not sure is a part of this or not, but there has to be put in place a consequence here for actually violating this ban. What is that?
Ticketing.
What's the ticket? No, but what's the value of it?
It's,
Our enforcement officer walks up and sees Mr. and Mrs. Jones firing off fireworks for their granddaughter's 13th birthday, and gets tapped on the shoulder and says, "You're not allowed to do any of that. Here's your ticket." What's the consequence?
The consequence is the same as any violation of our regulations. Under our violation notice regulations, they would get a violation notice, and there would be a penalty of up to $100 for that. If they don't pay that, it goes to court and goes through a ticketing procedure.
So it's going to be $100, or is it $100?
$75 if they pay it within 7 days, $100 within 14.
Okay, so if
After
you don't
that
pay it
goes
within that
to
week, the
provincial
price
ticketing.
the price of doing business goes up, and then somebody could challenge us in a court of law
They could.
on that basis.
They could.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else with any other? I don't want you to close debate, Councillor Ledwell. If anybody else got anything to speak on, Deputy Mayor.
I want to make sure. So the restricted. The intent was prohibit. Just want to make, because that's the way I read it last night. That the only 2 days we'll allow it are Canada Day, and so other than that, no fireworks permitted in Mount Pearl. And
Okay.
again, going back, because Director Yevchek mentioned this, I mean, the spirit of this, because I brought this forth several years back, about pet owners whose dogs are terrified. Well, it happened to me one day at my own house. It actually sounded like gunshots. I'm not kidding you.
Sure.
And I had an RNC officer next to me, so of course we both came out at the same time because he thought the same thing. It had that, and adjacent, someone was firing, fireworks off because their child had come home. It was in the summertime, but they directed them right across Smallwood Drive, right over our property. That was the projection line for that. So that was the concern. To your point, Your Worship, are they safe on a 50 by 100 lot? I mean, think back to this year. I spent New Year's with a friend up on the Hillview up here, up on Mount Carson. And there had to be thousands and thousands of people putting off fireworks. It was absolutely unbelievable.
It was Baghdad, 1993.
Well, it was, and I just think back to the safety of that.
It was. I saw it. It was amazing.
And some children, I had a family member who, I think I said this before at council, they were at a party one year. It was windy out, so the guy lighting the fireworks lit it in the porch to run out. It discharged prematurely and struck her square in the face and her neck. Could have blown her face off. And again, it's too loosey-goosey for my liking. So that's why I raised the question if this is prohibition or just restriction where you can get a permit.
I think our definition, if the intent is to prohibit, then using the term restrict in a court of law is going to get some questions asked because, let's consider for a second. Alcohol is a legal substance one is allowed to consume, but its purchase and use is restricted, not prohibited. And that's where I have a little question with your definition. That's all. I'm letting the general discussion go on here. I'm sorry, Councillor Ledwell, but Councillor Stoyles?
I have another concern too, because here we are now going to bring in this new regulation. I'm just wondering how we're going to inform the residents in the city, because what's going to happen over the next weeks and months, people are going to go ahead and purchase the fireworks because they can purchase them in a lot of retailers here in the city of Mount Pearl and all over the province, and unless the provincial government puts a ban on them, it's almost next to impossible for the stop the purchase of them, or people could
Oh,
buy
no, they're
them.
perfectly legal product you're allowed to buy.
They could buy them online anyway, but I mean, I certainly have a major concern that we're going to start ticketing people and for doing this anyway. I'm just, I had a major concern about this from the beginning, not only the regulations. I certainly understand the noise and animals and that. I've received complaints too, but if we can't regulate it, I don't see, I mean, there might be 50 people do them, and we might get 50 complaints. How do you determine, if A, B, and C actually put them off? Anyway, I just have major concern.
Okay, I'm going to turn things over to our CAO, Ms. Peach.
Just a couple of things, Your Worship. The word restriction or restrict was just in the verbiage in the report. It's actually Section 5. If you go to Section 5,
it says no person shall discharge fireworks except.
Right. So there is a prohibition, or it's restricted to those 2 days. But the word restriction is not used in the regulations themselves.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just that we're going to restrict them to those 2 days.
Okay. Well, we're going to make some history. We're going to be the first municipality in the province to ban residential fireworks.
Yeah. Couple other things, if I might.
We're going to restrict them. Why? If you think they're dangerous, if we think they're dangerous and we're going to decide we're going to ban them because of all the issues everybody's already stated.
Why are you allowing them these 2 days?
Why are you allowing them for these 2 days? That don't make sense. If you're going to restrict them and ban them, and because of the danger and because of the noise and because of everything, why are you going to allow them 2 days?
I think there's a certain awareness that goes on those 2 days that doesn't exist else time in the year. Okay, it'll be interesting. I'm going to let any other final comment.
Can I say one more thing, please? The whole safety piece, we are not trying to regulate here. That is true. We had lots of discussion about that, and we are part of a regional fire committee, and they're discussing that. We did determine that at least through our noise regulations, we could control the use of fireworks, and it was with respect to the noise and the torment that it causes animals and whatnot. So the enforcement of it, yes, it may be difficult, but many people, we will communicate to residents. Many people just knowing that, as Councillor Aker said, knowing that the prohibition is in place, will respect that. But if, for example, we had someone who blatantly disregarded it time and time again, this would certainly give us the teeth to be able to deal with that. So it's not, it's not perfect, but it's. I think it's important, and it will be. We will find ourselves using it.
Well, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. I'm going to turn things over. You want to close the debate, Councillor Ledwell?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I kind of figured there'd be some fireworks on this one.
Oh, the Pun King remains alive and well here at City Hall.
Absolutely. I certainly can recognize the challenges and the limitations in terms of enforcing really any of our municipal regulations and any of the regulations or items that are governed by regional fire. But, I think it's gotten to the point where we should and kind of have to do something. Your Worship, you did mention the safety piece, even though that's not really what we're trying to regulate, but I think that is a real concern. The Deputy Mayor and others have mentioned animals, and there's real concern with what this does to animals in terms of their health. I've certainly been in the presence of members of our pet population where they're literally shivering to the point where, you wonder if they're actually going to, if they're going to pass away right in front of your eyes. So we certainly, are at a point now where I think it's really gone above and beyond in terms of fireworks here in the city, and certainly, we feel pretty strongly, at least I do personally, in bringing this recommendation forward. I think it's time that we do something, and I would like to close debate on that note.
We will call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded?
Nay.
Motion is carried. Next item.
Our next item is a notice of motion, which I'll read into the record. In accordance with Section 39 of the City of Mount Pearl Act 1988, take notice that, in accordance with Council's public notification policy, I will, at a regular meeting of Council, move an amendment to the text of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 that, if enacted, will: Number 1, in Section 2, definitions, immediately after health club use, add health consultation use. means a use that accommodates a meeting between a health or lifestyle professional and a client, but does not include a clinic. Number 2, in Section 7, Special Developments, subsection 7.16, Home Occupation, subsection 7.16.1, immediately after educational use, add health consultation use. And 3, in Section 7, Special Developments, subsection 7.17, Home Office, subsection 7.17.1a, change the use is restricted to one person who is a resident of the dwelling unit to the use is carried out by individuals who reside in the dwelling. The purpose of this proposed amendment is to permit health consultation uses as a discretionary use in residential zones and to permit any resident of a dwelling to participate in a home office use associated with the same dwelling.
Thank you, sir.
Our next item is our development permit list for the period of April 6th to the 17th of 2015. You'll see there that we've had a busy period in terms of development permits for that couple of weeks there, and I so move.
It is moved, seconded. Question or comment? All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
And continuing on the same vein, we have our development permit in terms of both residential construction and building construction on the commercial side for the same period of April 6th to the 17th of 2015. On the residential side, our total is $1,390,000, and I so move.
Move, seconded. All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried.
And finally, Your Worship, on the commercial side, our total is $5,000, and I so move.
$5,000. What's that? Wonder?
It's for renovations at 24 Clyde Avenue.
It is indeed. Look at that. $5,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. We have Transportation and Safety. Councillor Ledwell, we're going to have to call on you for that. You might as well stay on your feet.
Not a problem. We can do that.
Deputy Mayor, you're the alternate.
Our only one item here this evening for transportation and public safety. It's just kind of a sort of a heads up with our Neighborhood Watch program. Certainly we announced this program last year, or I believe it was last year, as you'll recall. We have had a number of areas within the city who have taken this on, and it's been pretty successful in the few neighborhoods that we have had take this on and make an effort to deter crime through their neighborhood. Residents are encouraged to join the program. To learn more, they can contact our Municipal Enforcement Division at 748-1082 or email neighborhoodwatch@mountpearl.ca. Certainly this has proven to be very effective in the neighborhoods that have taken it on. It is combating crime in the most effective way before it starts. So we'd like to see as many of our neighborhoods take this on as possible and make our city safer and without crime.
Thank you, sir, very much. Yeah, we have 2 or 3 Neighborhood Watch programs in operation now in the city. One, by the way, up on the Smallwood Drive extension area there behind Walmart and that part of the community. Very good program happening up there. They've done some really good work, and they had some, I'm going to say they had some serious problems that have now been resolved as a result of not people taking the law into their hands, but taking responsibility for their community into their hands. It's worked very well. Thank you for that. We are off to new business. Councillor Stoyles. I'm sorry?
No.
Deputy Mayor first. Okay, Councillor Stoyles now.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple of things. I want to mention that the Joint Council next meeting is going to be May 20th here at City of Mount Pearl. I won't be able to attend that night, so I'm hoping somebody from the city will be able to come down because we have Ladies' Night on with the Mount Pearl Cadets, and I want to mention that as well, and that's May 20th. So I know myself and Councillor Tessier will be attending Ladies' Night. Also, Your Worship, I wanted to wish Councillor Walsh, he's going back for another surgery again on Thursday. He's been in the hospital the past few days, having procedures done, and want to wish him well. And also wanted to mention the number of calls that I have received from residents in the neighbourhood concerning the Canada Post mailing boxes, postage boxes that they're putting in the new neighbourhoods that they're going to be doing the mail. And a large number of people now have received a letter and received a visit from Canada Post, and I know Mr. Yevchek have dealt with them. I don't know if he wants to give us an update of how many complaints he's actually received. I know I think I got 5 different ones from neighbours in some parts of the city, and I'm just wondering how many complaints we're actually receiving and what kind of a issue it is coming to be.
I had 2. That's all I know. Do we have a number? Would we have kept? Do we have a number? Like how many complaints or whatever have we had?
Last week, prior to last week, we had, I think I reported to council, we received 3. Since that report, we've received 5 up until today, and we should receive 2 today. What we are doing is when we receive them, we are corresponding or talking to the individual. We are advising them that this is, they should be referring their concerns or comments to Canada Post, who at this point of their site selection process, they're contacting people about where they want to put the community mailboxes, and if there's a response like this, they'll go back and take a look again to see if there's another site that is more appropriate than where they are intending to put it. That doesn't mean to say that they will move it, but they will take a look at it. So we're advising those that are contacting us to contact Canada Post, and if we are receiving written correspondence, we are also asking the individual have they contacted Canada Post, and if they have not, would they wish us to send their correspondence along to Canada Post for their information. So far, as I say, 2 weeks ago we received 3, over the past week 5, and as of today 2.
Just one other
Okay,
question.
so that's not as many. I would have thought there would be more. I would, Councillor?
One question pertaining to one complaint I received, and that was the one on Windsor Place. And apparently there was a dig up there last year because of a water main break. And one of the places that they were looking at putting this mailbox going up Windsor Place was basically where the dig up had already taken place. And I'm just wondering if we allow, if we would say no to places like that, have we looked at any of that? Where, I went on to our planner and our planning department, and I mean, no matter where they put them, nobody's going to be happy. Nobody wants them next door to them or whatever. But I'm just wondering if we have any policies relating to water mains.
Jerry? Oh, Mr. Jeftek, go ahead.
If I could begin, Your Worship, and then I'll pass it over to my colleague, Mr. Antle. We did raise that with them. That was a concern that the city had, because we did, as part of the process, we did take a look at where they were considering in concept locating these facilities. And we looked at it, of course, from our operational requirements. And we did advise them that we really didn't support placing anything on our infrastructure or areas where there's easements. To which they did advise that in other municipalities that's not been an issue. They do this as standard course, and that they have certain arrangements with the municipalities, which I believe we're going to be discussing a bit further this evening, in terms of how they deal with infrastructural requirements. So, yeah, this was brought to their attention. I'm not surprised that they are looking at this location, but I think I'll leave the rest to my colleague, Mr. Antle, to maybe make a few more comments.
Thank you, Mr. Antle.
Yes, when we met with them, we indicated our preference would not to be located on our easements or our location where we have underground utilities. They did indicate that in some communities they have located in those locations because it makes sense sometimes for them, because it's on a trail or access to a park or it's an open space that's convenient. They indicated that if there was a circumstance that we did have an emergency, we had to do a water main break repair, we were indicated we could simply move the box to the side. There were some precautions we'd had to take, that, and they'd come and they'd repair it and they'd reinstall it. We'd just move it to the side. But if the box, for example, was broken open, like let's say it was a rupture for water main and the box broke open, well, there's precaution we had to take. We had to call the police, for example, to actually come and take the mail, and because it's an offence if we touch that mail. So they indicated some of those circumstances we had to follow. But the point is, we cannot stop them from putting them in locations that are on our right-of-way or on our easements. We can only indicate our concerns. So we did that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Stoss? That's it. Deputy Mayor. Oh, no, we've done Deputy Mayor, Councillor Stoss, Councillor Rager.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I, too, want to join with the Deputy Mayor and others, congratulate the Kinsman. I think they did a bang-up job on the Citizen of the Year. It's an honor for those people who got nominated. Never mind who won. Basically, everybody's a winner there that night. It was a really nice event. It went off really well, in support of also the Cadets. And I want to congratulate both of the people who won and all the nominees. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was Brandon Fitzgerald. Brandon is going to BC to play Junior B. He's going to play Junior B lacrosse.
Yeah, saw.
And yes, and I coached Brandon for years in minor hockey. He was a goaltender. And he knew as soon as he got out to play out, not playing in goal, he was going on to bigger and better things. I think Brandon has played lacrosse now for about 4 or 5 years. And
He's
he
very
represent
good,
the
apparently.
province really well. He's very good. And Deputy Mayor, you may have taught young Brandon. I think he's a senior. You knew Brandon, right? Yeah. So anyway, congratulations to Brandon. We wish him all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll be very brief. Of course, Volunteer Week wrapped up this past weekend, and I just want to say a word of thank you to all of the volunteers within the City of Mount Pearl. Certainly, volunteers truly are at the heart of the community, as has been said in the past, and certainly we would not be the city that we are without all of our volunteers. I also want to make brief mention of Volunteer Mount Pearl. It's an office, of course, that, as we know, has been sort of operating in conjunction with or falling out of the Sport Alliance. Ms. Debbie O'Reilly is up in the office doing some good work in terms of trying to create a database of volunteers and provide services for volunteers in our city. So I certainly want to sort of raise awareness. They're on Facebook and Twitter, and if anybody wants more information, certainly they're not hard to find. Volunteer Mount Pearl, the office up at the Glacier in the Volunteer Centre, and certainly I'm sure they'd love to hear from you.
Soon to be the Bob Hillier.
That is correct.
I think, isn't it?
Soon to be.
Soon to be, yeah. Thank you, sir. A couple of quick things from me then. Want to pass along some congratulations. Bantamee Hockey, a tournament held here last week during Easter, that apparently in hockey this year, Mount Pearl won everything. That's all I'm going to say. There was 4 or 5 different tournaments over Easter, and I think there were 4 different tournaments, and we took the prize in all of them. So it's just like, I hate to sound arrogant about it, but are we surprised? Citizen of the Year was an absolutely fantastic event again this year. Congratulations to the 2 people who were recognized as representing all of the volunteers. I want to say a thank you as well. Councillor Ledwell and I had, I'm going to call it the honor on Saturday, to attend a men's fellowship breakfast at the Wesleyan Solid Rock United Church. I'm saying United, but it's not really, is it? The Wesleyan Solid Rock Church on Park Avenue. Great breakfast. These guys can cook, and we had an opportunity to speak with them about education and about what's going on in our city and how they can play a bigger role, the role of our faith-based community generally, and it was a very, very nice morning, and it was a great thing to represent the city at that. I participated in the Big Brothers Big Sisters Wii Bowling Challenge out at the Village Mall in St. John's with His Worship Mayor Dennis O'Keefe, who's now 71, the old codger. And we played 3 games. He won 2 of 3, which means I lost. But I had 429 pins to his 390, which means I won. You see, the debate between Mount Pearl and St. John's continues on forevermore. I tried to play him for. I wanted him to play for control of Brookfield Estates, and he wouldn't put it on the line. Brookfield Plains. He wouldn't put it on the line. And Saturday night, great concert down at the United Church. Kevin Collins. Saturday, Sunday night, both nights. By the way, both nights sold out, leading me to believe we need a theater in this man's town. That's all I'm saying. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Ledwell. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.